tell me something that you remember from the past, Mum?
I remember from the past that the feast of Ramadan was acknowledged by my ex-husband, my departed husband, and he wanted to make sure, because he was very proud of the fact he was born in India. That's I won't go on. That was it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, whereabouts in India?
I don't remember that, but he wanted it known that he was connected to.
I think it was Lahore, wasn't it?
Lahore must have been.
Yeah, which would have been India when he was born.
Yes.
It's been Pakistan now, I think, since about 1947. But he would have been born in the early 1930s or mid 1930s. No, yeah, it was very early 30s because he was. I think he was 92 when he died.
Because the
would have
family
been
down the road,
now,
they would acknowledge Ramadan, and Mick would sort of say something else that matched up with that was part of Ramadan. And
I remember meeting the lady down the road, and I remember you telling her that I lived in Bradford. I think because you thought she would relate to that, but she just apologised and said that she didn't speak Urdu, which I thought was quite funny. I just said it's okay, neither do I. What else do you remember?
Bringing in the other side towards it, my husband, his relatives were brought in, like how can I put it?
What do you remember about your history, your personal history? Do you remember
Catholic. Catholic.
Would you remember where you were born?
Yeah.
Where was that?
Well, it was Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
It's Ireland.
Yeah. And how old were you when you came to this country?
No, I was old enough to start quite quickly after that in school. Oh, I know. I remember the going to confession.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, what do you remember about it?
I remember about it. We were only just old enough, whoever the other person or people were, we were just about old enough to go into the confessional, St. Joseph's school, and we'd say, how would we put it? Bless me, God, for I have sinned, and I have, so many da-di-da-di-da. But then, afterwards, we'd run out giggling. We'd make fun of it. Well, not make fun, just, make fun of it. And the worst one out of the four, remember it was four sisters. And the worst, the cheekiest one was Angela. Because there was the ascent, you entered the altar from a side thing. So there would be Angela. Bless me, Father, for I have sinned. But she would coming out of the side door of the church, making it up, Alamalo Wimbo or something, made up things to say. I don't think she wasn't being cruel.
No, she just had a good sense
She
of
just had
humour. She
that,
still
yeah.
does.
Yeah. Bless me, Father, for I have sinned. It is so many weeks since my confession and all the rest of it. Yeah. Anything else you want to drag out of me?
Well, I think that you had a couple of jobs before your main job, but what was your main job? The job that you're most proud of as well, that you did?
Flying.
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 Tell us some more about that.
I just loved it. It was everything to me.
But what was your job title?
No, can't think what the name was.
Well, it's one of those job titles that's changed over the years.
Yeah.
But I think that when you did it, you were called an air stewardess.
Yes, that's it.
I think they're called cabin crew now.
Cabin crew, yeah. Because somebody not so long ago, it came into conversation, and I said, "Oh, I do miss it." Hearing it, I do miss it.
Yeah.
In fact, I said to one of the girls, foreigner girls, I wasn't discussing anything else really, but I wanted to. I don't know why I mentioned it, and I said, "Guten Tag, meine Herren." That was how the introduction. You stood, did whatever you had to do. Guten Tag, meine Herren. That's it.
Yeah, that's German, isn't it?
German.
And what other languages do you remember? Because I think you had to be able to greet people in their own language, didn't you?
Yeah,
So that's German. Do you remember any others? There'd be French, wouldn't there? Do you remember the French?
It might. Well, would have been used somewhere, but I don't remember attaching any. Not French. It was Guten Tag.
Well, that's German, isn't
yeah.
it? Because my memory is that your French was quite fluent when I was young.
Yeah.
And but you could only speak a little bit of German, and then you became quite fluent in Spanish as well, didn't you? Do you remember any French or Spanish?
Well, I've done the Guten Tag, wir haben one from me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about bonjour? How about that?
Bonjour, mes amis. Bonjour, mes amis, or something.
Yeah,
something
sounds
like
good. And I'm racking my brain now, trying to remember some Spanish.
No, yeah, but what I liked was ones who were very, very nervous. They were handed over to me because you had to. I don't know how they do, and I would look after the nervous ones, or that's what it would be thought of as. And
People who are nervous about flying.
Flying, yeah. And they always. It seemed to me they always used to give them to me to be looked after. I enjoyed it. It was nice, not just telling. It was you achieved something because somebody who had something which they could use easily, but they hadn't got it. You could give it to them because we would take part in just everything, but the ones that needed it, who were very nervous passengers, and we used to tell on the way from wherever it was back into London, we would get there and point out, because there were quite a few Americans, believe it or not. We would make sure that they felt at ease, because we'd look out of the window as we were descending and say, we'd make it up, we made it sort of thing. Oh, that's over there. Because into the dark or out of the dark, you would be going into London. But you didn't usually say that. I don't think we do. So,
Well, that's lovely. Thanks for sharing that with us.
no, honestly, and in fact, we used to have a giggle afterwards because we'd go. It only took the lights getting heavier or more obvious, and we'd make it up and say, and then it would calm them down, ready for the ascent down into London. And sometimes, not very often, you would have, if there was a very popular radio programme, sometimes we'd have a giggle and use that.
Oh, that's interesting.
Oh, yeah.
And then you worked in a pub, didn't you? And you worked in a few pubs, because I was born in one of them.
Mm-hmm.
What do you remember about that?
Not so much. Oh, the bit pub was when I lived up at Maureen's. It wasn't just a pub.
that was when we moved back to the Midlands
Yes.
from Yorkshire.
That's right.
But you worked in at least 3 pubs that I know of in Yorkshire.
Yeah.
Because you were the joint manager
Yeah.
with my dad.
Yeah.
So do you remember anything about that?
Yes. Yeah. I seem to have more memory of later on than I did actually at the time. And I liked it, still do. And it was about a few years back. And I know Mike, I couldn't stand him, I couldn't.
Well, we won't talk about negative
I
things.
won't talk of the deceased. And it was lovely. I just liked it. And the park, a lot of the cars were parked in a huge yard. And they had very nice food. But the other one was when I was a barmaid. I remember I got some offers. Well, how are you doing, what you're doing tonight for something like that. And that was it really. So really I've had quite an interesting life, yes.
And then it was for a number of years. It was just me, you, and Juliet, wasn't it?
Mm.
And do you remember we lived opposite some woods? It was really quite idyllic where we lived. We were very lucky, but it was a council house. Do you remember that?
No.
Do you remember that either side of us, the neighbours worked for the police, didn't they? Do you remember that? There was Sandra and Dennis on one side. I can't remember them. And then it was Dennis's brother and his wife who lived on the other side. And they were both in the mounted police.
Oh, yeah. I can't say it's a definite but
that was Chichester Grove, wasn't it?
Where was that Chichester?
Well, it's not far from here.
No.
And that's in Solihull now. That used to be in Birmingham. In fact, we had some neighbours where they put their bins out the front of the house, and Solihull Council would collect them if they put their bins out the back of the house. Birmingham Council would collect them. When I say neighbours, they lived very nearby. Anyway, I'm doing the talking. I want you to do the talking.
Why?
Go
on.
You worked for a petrol station, didn't you, in Marsden Green? Do you remember anything about that?
Mm.
And you also worked at Barclays Bank for a while. Do you remember anything about that?
No.
And then you worked for Birmingham Council.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So that's that was more recent. That was right up until you retired.
Yeah.
What do you remember about working for Birmingham Council?
Only that that was what I did. I can remember spending behind the bar. Oh, that's right. Behind the bar. I used to get chatted up quite a lot.
I think that you will share that memory with a lot of women who've worked behind bars.
Yeah. But the known thing I never liked Maureen's husband.
Don't get back onto it.
Sorry. Oh dear. No.
Let me think what else you might remember. So, after you retired, you did quite a lot of voluntary work, didn't you? Do you remember any details about that?
No. I should.
I know that you were quite active with your friend, trying to stop them from building on Greenbelt, which I was very proud of you for that. You actually got on the TV with that. I think there's still a clip of you and Sandra on, was it Sadie? Sorry, you and Sadie.
Sadie.
Still
Oh,
a clip
yes.
of you on
Oh,
YouTube
yeah. Oh,
protesting.
God, yeah. Locally, we'd really give it the full.
Yeah. I think you didn't manage to halt what they were doing, but you did manage to make sure that they did it ethically. And,
Stuck to the rules.
Yeah, they didn't break any of the rules, and they made sure that all the bridle ways were still left, and that there was still some green left. It didn't all become concrete. I was very proud of you for that.
Oh, thank you. Or the slightest, the hint of them wanting to do it their way, whoever they were, instead of the proper way, or making sure it was looked after, something like that.
Yeah. And you've lived here now for almost a year. And how do you feel about that?
Well, I feel very lucky, with all,
Yeah, because it's beautiful, isn't
it? But there was, no, at first here, it wasn't easy.
Yeah, it took a little while to settle in.
No, not just that. It was that it did seem to me that it was a whole hurt. I was given wholehearted. Okay, yes. It took me ages before I really was slotted in. I don't know why.
I think that's normal. That's what happens anywhere. But we knew that you'd fit in here eventually, and actually I think you settled in quite quickly. That's because there are some people here who I don't think they'll ever settle in. But anyway.
There were, but at the beginning there was about 4 of them, the little gang. They were horrible to me. Really, really awful.
Well, people are cliquey, aren't they?
Yeah, that's it.
And now you're the boss. And we get cups of tea brought out to us in the garden. It's been a lovely day. It is a little bit chilly though. What do you think about us heading back inside?
Yes, okay.
Yeah. Well, there's no rush because it isn't that bad.
No, no.
The sun's not going to come out now. And what do you think about it all, Jonas?
Yeah.
It's nice.
Isn't it lovely? Look at that. It is a nice day, but there is a chill in the air. Okay, that's enough from me. Anybody who sees this video, thank you for watching. like and share and please leave some nice comments.